AAP's slugfest over the ouster of 4 rebels that's degenerated, not surprisingly, into an ugly war of words. After the Kejriwal camp cracked the whip and gave the boot to Prashant Bhushan and Yogendra Yadav, it is now a damaging free-for-all, with charges being made publicly of irregularities and improprieties.
The Aam Aadmi Party torn apart after expulsion of the rebel quartet. The spring cleaning by AAP chief Arvind only exposing more dirt in the party. Responding to Bhushan's allegations of pandering to corporate interests, Kejriwal loyalist Ashish Khaitan hit back with equal vigour, sparking an ugly war of words. A combative Prashant Bhushan equated the AAP to infamous Khap Panchayats and Kejriwal to a dictator.
एक तानाशाह है और उस तानाशाह के आदेशों के हिसाब से बाकी जो खाप पंचायत के मेंबर हैं वो उनके आदेशों का पालन करते हैं और उनकी जी हुजूरी करते हैं.
Amidst the free-for-all and personal attacks, Bhushan's father Shanti Bhushan dropped a letter bomb, releasing content of a scathing letter to Kejriwal accusing him of pushing selfish agenda.
अरविंद केजरीवाल जिसको हिटलर की पोशाक में दिखाया जा रहा है जगह जगह, उससे शो कॉज नोटिस तो एक मेडल है ईमानदारी का.
The AAP turmoil led political adversaries to take potshots at Kejriwal. AAP leaders are meanwhile defensive. Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi and Kejriwal loyalist Manish Sisodia evaded queries by headlines today on the open war. The war may only intensify in the coming days as the rebels begin the Swaraj Abhiyan to highlight Kejriwal's failure. Bureau Report, headlines today.
Joining me now is Aam Aadmi Party expelled leader Yogendra Yadav. Appreciate your joining us, Yogendra Yadav. In the 24 hours, Yogendra, since you've been expelled, you and Prashant Bhushan have been expelled and Anand Kumar has been expelled, all we've seen is dirty linen being washed in public. Prashant Bhushan says that Ashish Khaitan of the Aam Aadmi Party had written an article on the 2G scam in Tehelka and the SR group paid the magazine 3 crores for its Think Fest as a result. Now Ashish Khaitan says the Bhushan family has amassed more than 500 crore worth of property and PILs are a big industry, it appears, for the Bhushans. What seems to have happened? This is worse than a Saas Bahu serial. It's almost Saas Bahu and Sazish.
Rajdeep, the simple response to all this would be, all this should be investigated. This is what we have done in the movement. If there is this case about SR for which Prashant Bhushan ji has given evidence, incidentally that's not new. In fact, it's been doing the round for the last 2 months. And it's part of a PIL. In fact, it has already been reported in newspapers about 2 months ago, so probably a month ago.
But let's be clear, the split was inevitable. You can disagree with the procedure followed and whether those who are on the disciplinary committee already had an animus against you and therefore no natural justice was followed. But let's be clear, over the last several weeks, the kind of allegation that both camps, if I may be allowed to use the word camps, have been made against each other, clearly suggested that there was going to be an inevitable parting of ways. So what has happened yesterday is actually no surprise to anyone.
You could say that it's no surprise, I agree, because especially after what happened on the 28th in the National Council meeting, after that it would be very hard for anyone to have hopes and expectations of fair trial, fair procedure. Every single thing has been violated. I do get somewhat sad and surprised that the public memory in the eyes of someone like you is that both sides were saying this about each other and there was a quarrel against each other. Actually, if you look at it carefully, Rajdeep, you would remember at every stage I kept silent and everyone actually kept saying, why are you silent? Why are you not protesting? Why are you not hitting back? I said, no, that's not the way. That's not what we have done. When we were thrown out of PAC, then we were thrown out of NE. It's only when the NC thing got into physical stuff that we were left with no option. This is not a normal conflict. This is not an ego tussle or anything of that kind. What has happened in the party is that if you grant that basic presupposition, which is only one person must decide, high command is high command, no one can disobey, then yes, you could say the splitting was inevitable. Otherwise, in normal political parties, people who have much greater differences than we have, they normally live together. Mr. Advani and Mr. Vajpayee stayed in the same party for 40 years. Why can't we?
But I want to know, what do you now do? What does your Swaraj Samvad now do? Because you, interestingly, on a Facebook post have quoted from Harivansh Rai Bachchan's poem, Neer Ka Nirman Fir. You quote, or you wrote, this is not the end of a journey but a beginning of a long march. Are you forming a political party or going on a padiyatra? What is Yogendra Yadav going to do now?
Unfortunately, in the country, the only time we think of alternatives, we think of a party. The last thing the country wants right now is another political party. As they say in Hindi, "Doodh ka jala chhaach ko bhi phunk phunk ke peeta hai." People invested hopes in politics. Their hopes have been dashed. They are feeling crestfallen, and they don't want one more party to come to them to say, you know, let's join it. No, the hopes need to be restored. This movement had created extraordinary energy. That energy needs to be tapped. It needs to be brought together, and a new model has to be created. Someone has to give people trust that politics can still be clean, that politics can be accountable, that organizations can be.
So what are you going to do? Those are fine words. How do you achieve that without forming a political party? Are you simply going to be a pressure group?
We would begin by undertaking samvads all over the country, which is a way of allowing these good people to come together, connect to each other. We would follow that up with a yatra, not a padyatra, I'm afraid. It's not practical, but with a yatra across the country, a Bharat Yatra, to discover energies, ideas throughout this country. We would gather all that, convince ourselves first of all that we are capable of running a democratic organization. And if we do so, we sit together and we think of the next step. But please do not think that politics is only about fighting elections, that politics is only about winning the next election and forming government somehow. There is much more to politics than that. I've always said that. I continue to maintain it, although contesting elections and forming government is a crucial business. That should be the culmination of politics. That is not necessarily where politics must begin.
I'm sure you didn't say that when the Aam Aadmi Party was being formed. Then you thought of this as a political alternative, electoral alternative to the Congress and the BJP. Do you still see the Aam Aadmi Party and Arvind Kejriwal as that alternative? Or are you disillusioned with the fact that you have been thrown out, to use your own words, from your own home?
It so happens that actually, Rajdeep, I had said it on day one of the party's launch, that it is going to be a 20-year journey, that we should be prepared, and that changing the agenda of discussion is as important as winning elections. I had said it actually on day one of the party. So I've actually been saying all this, all these months and years. What do I think of the Aam Aadmi Party Delhi? I mean, that's basically what the party is. One thing I can tell you, I do not want to use my energy, attention to criticizing this Aam Aadmi Party. If there are big evils in the country, Aam Aadmi Party of Delhi is not one of those big evils in the country, at least not now.
So you're going to try and form a national alternative
on the real issues of the party.
You're going to go across the country and try and give some kind of a national alternative.
The whole promise of Aam Aadmi Party was that it would provide a national platform for alternative politics. It so happens that the party has fallen short of it, although it has done some remarkably good things. It has given hope, it has created energy, it has shown that big political parties can be taken on, it has demonstrated that ordinary people are willing to invest in political alternatives, and it has shown that clean money can be collected through open sources. These are not small achievements. It did fall short on other things, especially on internal democracy and such like, and it did become a regional formation of Delhi. We need to go beyond that. That is a much bigger challenge. It is a much tougher challenge, which is what some people have to take on. So Swaraj Abhiyan moves on from this in order to continue that spirit of providing an alternative politics at the national level. That is the ultimate goal. How we move forward on that is something only time will tell.
How will you respond then in conclusion to those who will say Arvind Kejriwal is the person who could have done it? He's the mass leader. Yogendra Yadav at the end of the day is at best a political intellectual. He's an armchair intellectual. He can never compete with the mass appeal of an Arvind Kejriwal to build that kind of national alternative.
I was not here to compete with him anyway. That is something I never tried. I don't know why he felt so insecure right from day one. They've never understood that that's not what I wanted to do at all. And this new movement, Swaraj Abhiyan, does not depend on Yogendra Yadav or Prashant Bhushan. And as you must have seen, at least in Gurgaon, you know, if everyone said before Gurgaon, these are just two intellectuals, I can understand. But in Swaraj Samvad, some 4,000 volunteers from across the country came. They didn't come for Yogendra Yadav or Prashant Bhushan. They came for something much bigger. That is what creates things. Movement create leaders. Leaders do not create movements. So I'm sure people much more capable, much better mass leaders than someone like me can possibly be, they would come, they would take over. If anyone had asked you 4 years ago, will Arvind Kejriwal become Chief Minister of Delhi? I don't know what your answer would have been at that stage. So yes, other people will come, people you and I do not know, those who don't come on television right now. There's lots and lots of talent in this country, not just among men, also among women. So let's look for that. Movements create leaders. Leaders do not always create movements.
Can I ask you therefore, if you had to give one piece of advice in 30 seconds to Arvind Kejriwal, what would that be?
I would just give him my best wishes. Running a clean and good government in Delhi is a worthwhile objective. And he has all my best wishes. At any stage, if we can be of any help, I would certainly wish to be of help. And I want to assure him, because he's been somewhat rattled over the last few days, I want to assure him, we do not want to waste 1 ounce of our energy on criticizing him, his Delhi party or his Delhi government. They have our best wishes. He need not worry. Why is he so scared?
They have your best wishes, but I'm presuming this break is permanent. You're not going to go back to Mr. Kejriwal, because usually in politics you never know, after a breakup there is a grand reunion. That's ruled out, right? Ruled out.
Rajdeep, in this entire scenario, I'm not the one taking decisions. Arvind is the one who's taking decisions. He's the one saying, I cannot live with them, either them or me. They have to be thrown out of PAC, thrown out of any, thrown out of this, and now anyone who supported them has to be thrown out. Dr. Gandhi has to go out as a leader. I mean, he's taking the decisions. So actually you should be asking him those questions.
I will
Unfortunately, lots of people who cannot interview Arvind ask the questions that should be asked to Arvind. Those questions are asked to me.
Okay.
It's a wrong number. That's all I can say.
I will also therefore then ask you, no plans of coming and joining us ahead of the Bihar elections in your role as a cephalogist, right? That's also part of your past, not part of your future.
Rajdeep, as I said, in a moment like this, you have to ask yourself, quit or double? I asked myself this question a few weeks ago, and my answer is clear, double. I would invest the rest of my life into searching for, trying to build alternative politics, just as my Guru Kishan Patnaik did. He did it away from television cameras, he did it away from any public attention, yet he did it for 40 years. Why do it for 20 years? That's what I wish to do in the rest of whatever life I have.
Okay, so that is clearly that you spurned my offer to become a political analyst ahead of the Bihar election. But for now, Yogendra Yadav, we will watch carefully what your next move in politics is. Thanks very much for joining us there.